So alligator just took off. Where did it go? I mean, do they come back up again?
There it is again. That's a gator, huh? That's a big splash. Darn it.
Previously on Luckyfish. We worked like crazy to splash in time for a weather window that would take us all the way to Nassau. With Luckyfish back in the water, we felt excited about the adventures that lay ahead, but sad to be saying our goodbyes to new friends we would be leaving behind. Lou, Jim,
Saying as though you're in the middle of epoxy.
Robert,
Good, I like the way you got this set up.
Chris,
Yeah, sangria. She had that in her little.
Melinda,
It pays to have paid crew, you know.
and Tony,
Back in the bottle.
Bruce,
We smuggled 3,000 bottles of scotch in on the Chinese junk to Tahiti.
Tim,
3-4 minutes, there won't be a piece this big.
Jerry,
Mongolian flag collar.
Brandon, and Danielle.
I don't think there's any alcohol in that cup.
Danny,
Go off and try something new.
and of course Wayne Brown himself.
Whether or not you want to be.
Yeah. And to good buddy Curtis, who'd been a massive help getting back in the water on time and introducing us to the local wildlife. So alligator just took off. We came down to look at Danny's proa. And where did it go? I mean, do they come back up again? Or?
It could have been a big turtle.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, this is the old river. Come around in that way.
There's a fishing boat just going through the grass over there.
Yeah.
That's a weird scene.
Yeah.
I assume he's heading towards the bridge. He is.
Right. There it is again. That's a gator, huh? That's a big splash. Darn it.
Yeah, that was a big splash.
Yeah, I ain't no little turtle.
Geez, I would feel very precarious sitting out there on Danny's neck.
Oh,
Some
there he is. Right here. There's a gator right here.
the eyes in the water or what?
See him out there? He's just on the other on the in front of the bow of that boat.
Which boat? The proa?
Yeah, the one on the fore end.
Oh, the other one. I got to come over where you are there, mate. No, I can't see him, eh?
There he is, over there. Okay. Turn around looking at him.
Oh, I see him. Yeah, just below the anchor, right? Wow, he's not the big one, right?
No, that's the little guy. There's something else over there too. There might be two of them out there.
He's there.
Yeah, that's the little one.
Don't fall in now.
Yeah.
Imagine if this dock tipped and we just ended up in the water. Wouldn't you get out in a hurry with that little guy just sitting there? It's the bridge closing.
Yeah, it's closing.
Beautiful morning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful morning. We left at 5:30 from Labelle and just bumped the bottom on the port engine as we came out of the cut there. But a little bit of brute force and we pushed our way through the silt. Labelle Bridge opened for us right on when he clocked on. We caught him at 6. But once we actually got away and did something on time.
Here's the next bridge. There's all this beautiful water. Fun pumps. 5 knots, 4.9. Pretty much every one of them have this little docks, private docks, right? Fancy.
Next one's a swing bridge.
Is that? What's the name of it?
Next bridge is Fort de Nord. It's a swing bridge. It's only got a vertical clearance of 9 feet.
Oh yeah, we need it
We
open.
might have that one open. Just looking at our wake there, you can see in the middle of the river the waves are moving ahead of the stuff on the edges. Okeechobee, the lake, they are discharging water, so we're getting a nice push, maybe half a knot or so if we stick to the middle of the river. So we'll certainly take advantage of that. What are you doing, honey? sun's just coming up, and
Sun's coming on that side.
that's a pretty riverboat. We cleared customs yesterday. We drove to Fort Myers and went to the airport and met a very friendly customs and immigration official.
Captain, you'll be cleared to pass on your right-hand side of the span once the bridge is fully open.
Message understood. Thank you very much.
I thank you, sir.
Something I forgot about.
It's not 8, it's 1 hour ahead.
It is 1 hour ahead, yeah.
It's 7 o'clock, 7 a.m.
Yeah. Well, we made pretty good progress this morning. It's 20 after 9 and we're at Franklin Lock. Another catamaran has joined us. Zaya's up there, ready to tend her lines.
Ready to drop down 1.5.
1.5 feet. We're going down back to sea level. Get a bit of surge in these locks, so it pays to hang on to the lines and watch the side of the boat. And here we are, right in the middle of suburbia. Closing the lock gates, getting ready to open the ones on the downstream side. Boat just surged forwards quite steadily as the downstream lock gates open. See the water rushing out there. Now we're going backwards. I'll just change the mooring line over to the other side of the cleat. Now we're going forwards again. So I think this is all good fun. Boat's still got quite a bit of unfinished work on it. Tools are still out. It's always a bad sign. We've got a few hours now before we reach the sea out at Sanibel Bridge, and we've probably got about 6 hours or so to get the sails rigged and bolt a few of the last fittings back on again after paint, and get the boat set up for afternoon of sailing into the night. Be able to shake the boat down in the daylight, which is great, and the weather just is so favourable for our trip. I'll try and run through what's in store over the next couple of days, but the wind looks very favourable for our run southeast down to Marathon, and then we should be in there by noon tomorrow or thereabouts.
Does that mean it's time to go?
Nearly. It's opening them up a bit faster now, so the water level's almost reached equilibrium. Yeah, we should get to Marathon around noon tomorrow, barring any hitches. Then the wind looks like it's going to swing in our favour for a crossing of the Gulf Stream to Bimini. So if the weather forecast holds, we can leave Marathon about 6 a.m. on Sunday morning and make the run across to Bimini. And if the weather's still favourable and we've got daylight, we might continue on to Nassau. We'll play all that by ear. Generally we just try and make plans for the next leg one step at a time. We were just given instructions to exit the chamber when we're ready, so we've just started the engines and we're now motoring out of the lock. Arriving at Fort Myers, we saw Chris's trimaran and swung by, but he was not at home.
Where are you, Chris? Is it him? Yeah, it is his boat.
Well, we just passed Fort Myers and it's so busy, it's a Friday. I mean, don't any of these people work? So many boats on the water, many power boats. The bigger they are, the faster they go. It's funny, big fat ones, they just power straight past you like they've spent their whole life not caring about other people. And they get on the water with all their millions, and it's situation normal for them. But there's a few, I've got to say, in the mid-size range. The smaller ones don't bother us, but the ones in the mid-size range can kick up quite a trough in their wake, pitches the boat around, and there's always one or two slow down and they get a big fat wave from us, smiles. But boy, there's some inconsiderate people out there. Sanibel Bridge was fast approaching, and beyond that, the leg to Marathon. It was time to finish the jobs. We found a place to anchor, away from the wash from other boats, rigged the sails and put the tools away at last. Well, it's Saturday, February the 4th, about 9 in the morning. We had a good run last night. We stopped the boat after transiting down the river at Sanibel Bridge and spent about 2 hours just rigging the sails before crossing under the bridge and starting our 120-mile crossing overnight to Marathon Quay. And we're approaching Marathon Quay now. We're in very shallow water, about 2.1 metres under the keel. We're on the banks behind the quays, just picking our way through a couple of parts of shoaling ground. Not very familiar with the approach to Marathon Quay. We have to pass under the bridge apparently, and then on our left should be Boot Quay Marina, where we will take on some fuel and overnight and take advantage of this wind that's going to continue to veer. We've been really fortunate with the winds. It's part of the reason why we left La Belle when we did. We saw this weather window opening up where we'd have a brisk nor'wester changing nor'east. A norther came through last night, so we had broad reaching conditions initially and fairly light winds in the nor'westerly, and then the nor'east filled in at about 20 to 23 knots, and we gave the boat a good shakedown, flying along at between 6 and 9 knots boat speed on a beam reach. Boat behaved beautifully, vane steering set up, ran no problems. And although the ride was a bit noisy and a bit bumpy at times, got us down here really fast. We covered 160 miles or so from La Belle. We'll do it in under 28 hours. That wind is going to continue to veer tomorrow morning. It'll move from the nor'east through east and then south around 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. But to confirm that with this morning's weather forecast, that was the forecast yesterday evening, which is just ideal. I mean, if we can get a southerly boost along with the Gulf Stream north up to Bimini, then that's textbook crossing of the Gulf Stream, so we'll see how that pans out. And then from Bimini we need to get across to Nassau by the 10th, meet our first guests. We really couldn't have asked for a better reintroduction to sailing, and a good shakedown for Luckyfish. Well, the crab pots that everyone warned us about were really thick, as we were warned all the way from pretty much Sanibel Bridge, and we're still in amongst them. Just, it's incredible to think there's any crabs left. I mean, they're just simply everywhere. They didn't prove a problem for our boat. We must have run over a few of them, but we didn't get hung up on any of the appendages, which is pretty neat. We didn't run the hydro generator last night because of that reason. We thought we might get that thing hooked up in one, which wouldn't have been good. So we ran the wind jenny instead all night, and it did really well. I mean, we've got both battery banks topped off this morning. It was a very brisk breeze, so the wind jenny was putting out plenty of power. We turned it off now, the sun's up, and we're just using the solar panels to keep everything topped off. This is Boot Key Harbour, where we'll anchor tonight and get ready to leave in the morning for Bimini. Well everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd like to give a special thank you to our patrons. It's because of patrons like you that make our productions sustainable, so please, if you haven't already, consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a video and become part of the Luckyfish story. Feel free to question, comment and give us a like and sub below. Until next time, thank you for watching.